NFL, Colin. Jayden Daniels, incredible first year in the league. Offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury says the sky is the limit in year 2. Here he is gassing up Jayden Daniels' growth.
I mean, just watching him move around. He's not thinking as much. He's playing fast and letting his natural gifts kind of take over, and that's what we want to see. So I expect him to take a big jump. Yeah, he works extremely hard. I mean, that's all he kind of thinks about is how he can get better, and watches a ton of film, watches a ton of football overall, and so that organically really takes care of itself in a way. When you have a guy who wants to be that great, he is very highly motivated to be as good as he can be, and that's always exciting for the organization.
How about this, Colin? Washington added I don't know about elite, but very good left tackle in Laramie Tunsil. And
Yep.
they added a formerly elite weapon in Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, he still is.
A great quarterback and a good offense and a great offensive coordinator. Washington to the Super Bowl, is that too exciting?
Well, I think they're in the bubble. We do that Super Bowl bubble. I think they're absolutely in the bubble. I think Jayden Daniels is, people talk about a sophomore slump, but you just go back to the first month, first 5-6 games when he's going 28 of 31. And I think the thing about Jayden Daniels, beyond his athletic ability and his accuracy, it's really unprecedented. Even better than Andrew Luck was his poise. He was so good in the 2-minute drill, so good on 3rd and 4th down, with very few mistakes. I mean, Andrew Luck was remarkable, but Andrew threw picks. Andrew was really aggressive. Jayden Daniels' ability to be a top 3 quarterback in the league late in games is something I said it. Mahomes wasn't that good. Mahomes didn't play as a rookie except for week 17. Like, to come out of college, first year playing all those games. Lamar didn't play until week 11. I've never seen a rookie quarterback as poised as him. Completion percentage, yards per carry, rushing yards, 2-minute drill. I've never seen anything like it.
Well,
now
Washington had RG3, whose rookie year was unbelievable, if you remember that. But then he had the injury and it kind of fell apart for him. Listen, C.J. Stroud, we saw him regress in year 2, right? He pulled back a little bit last year, and they went and got Stephon Diggs for him. Is there a world where he regresses? I just like keeping Kingsbury. I think Kingsbury is maybe a top 5 offensive coordinator in the league, maybe top 3.
Well, the advantage he has over C.J. Stroud is that you get 30% more playbook if your quarterback runs like Jayden Daniels or Lamar Jackson. C.J. Stroud, his comp coming out of college, which I thought was fair, was Jared Goff. And that's why I said I think Jared Goff and C.J. Stroud are a great comp, and Jared Goff's been to a Super Bowl. It wasn't a knock on him, but his comp was in the pocket, throwing darts with protection. He's really good. That's not a criticism. Jared Goff comp is not a criticism. It is a reality of a lack of mobility. C.J. Stroud has more than Goff. But I think when you do have hyper athleticism, it just allows you more plays.
And Jayden Daniels opens with the New York Giants. That should be a win. Packers, Raiders, Falcons. Colin, I think they're going to be favored in 3 of those 4. Could be a 4-0 start for Washington. Just put the Super Bowl futures. Just consider it. This team's really good, man. And their coach, we know he's very good as well.
Okay. Let's talk about this. It's so funny to be like, I think they're in the Super Bowl bubble. It's like, really? Really? I think the team that was in the NFC Championship game last year, where the rookie quarterback who lit the league on fire. You know what's funny? I always say, like, I'll talk about certain quarterbacks, and I'll be like, I'm like, oh, I'm really high on this team, or I'm high on this quarterback. Listen, I don't think that they're going to light the league on fire. I think the quarterback's pretty good. Do I think he can light the league on fire? That's like, for some reason, that's like one of my sayings that I say a lot. And it's like, and Jayden Daniels literally lit the league on fire. Like, all the times I usually say it in a way of saying, like, I don't think this will happen. Not about Jayden Daniels, by the way. I was very right on Jayden Daniels, and I will continue to do the victory lap from the beginning of time. But, and it was just like, he's actually the guy who literally lit the league on fire. And I also even take issue the way how Colin phrased it, although he didn't mean it in a negative, meant in a positive, where he was like, oh, in the 4th quarter, et cetera, Jayden Daniels was like a top 3 quarterback. And that implies that, like, you could be kind of like 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, and the reality is like what you have to say is he could not be any better in those moments. in those, fourth quarter moments, crunch time moments, however, like they officially end up defining it, inside 4 minutes, down by one score. Like there's always like the different ways how they kind of, cook the books to make the stats work in certain ways. And it's just like, you could not be any better. Like it's not possible. It's why almost like where a grading system makes more sense than a ranking system, where it's like, no, he got an A+, 100%. You can't be any higher. You can't ask your quarterback to do any more or be any more than what he did. So it's just pretty extraordinary what Jayden Daniels has been able to do. I'm not going to address the whole sophomore slump, CJ Stroud. I literally just made a video about that, posting that the other day. That seems to be such a common talking point here. But, there's a couple other things that I really want to kind of point out here is, Jayden Daniels' natural gifts that Cliff Kingsbury pointed out, and that he's like thinking less. So a lot of these things are a lot more comfortable. I had coaches in the past, but one main coach who would always talk about how, like, in practices, I want you to think a lot. I want you to really focus on your footwork, where your hands are. I want you to really focus on all the things that, like, I'm coaching you and what we're working on. You think. That's a time. And then there would be certain moments in practice when he would be like, I don't want you to think at all. And he would always emphasize, in games, you're not thinking at all. You're not thinking about your hands, you're this, you're that. It's all muscle memory. You put in all the work in practice. That's why we're here all day, every day, all night, every night, weekends, weekdays, everything. And when it's game time, you're just there to play, and don't worry about anything else. And to see Jayden Daniels not only being so comfortable in this setting and not having to kind of think about things that he was probably thinking about last offseason in the beginning, which obviously makes total sense, but to have the aspect of his game where he has to think less and less and less, where it's like the things that he no longer has to even think about, to have that now to just, essentially have that part of his toolbox just get more and more and more. It's awesome. Right. And that's why it's like I made a Shador Sanders video recently talking about OTAs, and they're like, he was 7 for 9 in the whatever. And it's like, that means nothing to me. That truly means nothing to me. This means something to me. This is actually information. Like, this is actually useful information. And of course, it's got to be taken with a grain of salt. It's his offensive coordinator. It's his main coach, essentially. Like, what's he going to say? That Jayden Daniels is a little slow right now and needs to work on all this stuff. Like, he's not going to say that. But I do take it as a reality. As you guys know, I'm a huge Cliff Kingsbury fan. And so it is so funny. That's why I was also smiling when you're hearing people like J Mac be like, I think Cliff Kingsbury is a top offensive coordinator in the NFL. And it's like, I was screaming that going into last season, screaming that Cliff Kingsbury is an awesome offensive mind. And people were like, well, no, he got fired, he wasn't good. And I did actual deep dives into like what he actually did with Arizona and what the numbers were and how successful he was, and all that type of stuff. And I felt like I was completely alone in that, where I'm like, no, Cliff Kingsbury is awesome. He is a great offensive mind, and he's going to be awesome with Jayden Daniels, and they clearly get along, like that as well. But the other thing is, and this can't be too overlooked, honestly. The whole idea of like wanting to be great and wanting to do the work, because not all players really are like that. Not even all quarterbacks. Like, you have a lot of players that get lost. As I sneeze on the truth, like, not everybody really wants it. And I think a lot of ex-players talk about this a lot, and they know better than anyone else, quite frankly, where they're like, some of them, it is just a job. It's their way that they can make money. And that's fine. I respect it. I don't expect everyone to be able to just live and die by their sport. I get that, like, they have other interests. But there's always this automatic assumption that these great players, even the ones that, like, and I won't name names, but like, the ones that we marvel at, the ones that we think are just exceptional, they still all have different degrees of caring. I do think, I'm the type of person, I think Josh Allen is a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. I do believe that. But I also do believe that if you forced me to answer this question right now, who do you think wants it more, Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes? I'd say Patrick Mahomes. I think I just see that. And of course, these are more external, outside looking in observations, but it's just kind of how I feel. I feel like these quarterbacks want it more than a Joe Burrow. And it's not to say that a Joe Burrow doesn't want it a lot. It's not to say that Josh Allen doesn't put in the work and doesn't want it desperately either, right? Like, this is just one of those kind of forced conversations that we have in sports with, where they always kind of talk about who wants it more, first one to leave, last one to leave, first one in, last one out, or whatever. But I do think it's very clear just how badly Jayden Daniels wants this. Like, to me, that shines through. Again, Jalen Hurts is another great example. Having the confetti on his phone, right? Like, from losing the Super Bowl. Dude, that is something. I mean, that is so, one of his worst moments of his career. He had a reminder on his phone. We all got phones. We all look at our phones every 5 seconds. So it is something that you are seeing again and again and again. That's hardcore. That's traumatizing, quite frankly, okay? That is hardcore. So, so the fact that we know how badly Jayden Daniels wants it, and it's not lip service, and Cliff Kingsbury talking about it, it's not lip service. That's why he said, it's awesome from a coaching perspective to be able to see players like that, because that is what you want. When you see players that are as great as Jayden Daniels and they want it so desperately, so badly that it consumes them, just awesome. And then there's this other clip that's hilarious, by the way. I suggest you guys look it up. Of, I forget which receiver, I think it was a receiver, called Jayden Daniels, and there was like this thing that was kind of going viral where they're saying, good night. Just someone you're calling like a friend, and saying them, good night or whatever, which is typically not something that guys do. And so it throws off the guy who's on the phone, and they did it to Jayden Daniels. And like his reaction was just really funny. But then he also gave an awesome answer because he said, "Are you okay?" Like, he was checking it because the guy was saying goodnight to him, and he was just like, "Bro, like what? Like, what are you talking about right now? Like, what are you doing there?" And he's like laughing about it, and it's really funny. But then he's like, "Are you okay?" Like, he's like checking, and that is the right answer. When someone randomly wishes you goodnight when they never do, your first response should be like, "Bro, is everything all right? Like, you good? Like, you need to talk about something? Like, is there something on your mind?" And like, not everyone has that answer. If you watch the video, some people say it's not like Jayden Daniels is the only one, but like some people are just kind of like, "Man, leave me alone." They hang up, like whatever it is, and and like that response is someone that's like kind of attuned to like the people around him. And Jayden Daniels has all the reason right now to be an egotistical maniac. I mean, he just had the greatest rookie season of all time and literally lit the league on fire, and has all the reason to be kind of a jerk, having a call like that, which maybe he believes it's a joke, and he's just like, "Man, leave me alone. I'm trying to go to bed," or, maybe makes a joke back, and he's like, "All right, man, I gotta go. See ya." But like, no, he laughed about it. He had fun with it, but then he also still was kind of like, "You good? Is everything all right now?" And I love that. I think that stuff matters more than a lot of people might originally think. Honestly, it was the first thing that stood out to me, quite frankly, and just some of the words that he used. I forget what word he used. He used a word that was, really funny. That a word that I use actually. That I was like, we speak the same language. We got the same vocab. I knew Jayden Daniels was a real one. Maybe one day I'll meet him. But I'll get a tattoo on my wrist, "Never a doubt," or something like that, and I can pretend like I'm best friends with him, like someone else does. But yeah, no. I'm excited to see what this season looks like for the Washington Commanders. And yes, I am jealous that Nick Wright gets to talk to people like Patrick Mahomes and I don't. So if anyone's watching this video knows Jayden Daniels, send him the video. Hook it up. Let's get after it. Never forget that I was the first one to call him the actual Terminator before Dan Quinn did. Dan Quinn took it from me. Never forget that. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about Jayden Daniels and the Washington Commanders? And, J-Mac talking about Super Bowl potential, Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're all on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.